This is the median American home, 440 grand. And there are exactly 6 levels to actually owning one. Almost nobody makes it past level 2. Renting on one end, an empire you can't personally annoy on the other. 6 rungs, and tonight we climb all 6. Let's start at 0. Level 0 has no property in it. It's a spreadsheet, a savings account, and a personality change waiting to happen. Say you're standing on it. You're 27. 57 grand a year, $14.90 in rent, a 702 credit score you refresh like it owes you an apology, and 11 grand saved. The math is not going well. You check listings the way you Google symptoms after midnight, privately, thoroughly, and it always ends somewhere worse than it started. Course sellers always skip the same level. I built this episode around it. Real rules, real math, and you'll know the quitting level when we're standing in it. Before anyone buys anything, one number explains why everybody's uncle keeps yelling about real estate at Thanksgiving. The Federal Reserve runs a survey of family finances. Median homeowner net worth, $396,200. Median renter, $10,400. 38 times. You don't close that with a raise, and every lease you sign is a vote for keeping it that way. Now the honest part, because this channel is contractually allergic to guru math. Homeowners aren't rich because houses are magic. Rich people buy houses. The arrow points both ways. Anyone who quotes you the gap and skips the arrow has a course dropping Tuesday. So you do what every level 0 does. You go to a meetup. You meet Trevor, 29, vest over a hoodie, which in this industry is a credential. Trevor owns 14 doors. Trevor will tell you this before he tells you his last name because one of those 2 facts is doing all the work. And in the corner, holding banana bread, is Gail, 61, 3 duplexes, all paid off. Gail has never said the phrase cap rate out loud in her life. Trevor cash flows negative $400 a month and calls it scaling. Gail deposits checks and calls it Tuesday. Remember both of them. They're climbing with us. Level 0 is also where the first predator finds you, through Trevor. Branson Turnkey, host of the Larger Pockets podcast. 4 episodes a week on why your problem is fear and the solution is a duplex in a city he's never visited. Trevor has heard all 4,000 episodes. Trevor mouths along. Branson isn't evil. Branson is something worse, enthusiastic. And the uncomfortable part is that the podcast isn't wrong. Real estate does build wealth. The Fed survey says so. The podcast just skips the part where the wealth is a job. Nobody puts that in the podcast title. Rule 1. Rent is the only bill in your life that never surprises you. That's the product. That's what you're paying for. It's also why you'll never get a cent of it back. Peace of mind doesn't compound. The house hack. The only cheat code in this entire video that survives contact with math. Here's the play. The Federal Housing Administration, the FHA, the government-backed loan every first-timer uses, will put you in a 2 to 4 unit property for 3.5% down as long as you live in one of the units. On a $340,000 duplex, that's $11,900 down, which is, check your app, basically everything you have, once the seller agrees to eat a chunk of the closing costs. You press confirm anyway. Everyone at this level presses confirm anyway. Now the real numbers, at today's rates, Freddie Mac has the 30-year at about 6.4%. Principal and interest, about $2,100 a month. Taxes, insurance, mortgage insurance, call it another $780. $2,868 all in. The other unit rents for $1,650. So your cost of living in your own property lands around $1,200 a month. Less than your old rent. The podcast was right. For about 5 weeks. Then the water heater in the tenant's unit dies, and you learn the 50% rule. Over time, roughly half the rent goes back out the door in expenses that aren't the mortgage. Nobody puts that in the podcast title either. Your napkin math said free house. The napkin was drunk. Level 1 is also where you take your first 2 a.m. phone call. You're not mad about the 2 a.m. call. You're mad because you used to be the 2 a.m. call. That guy is you, 18 months ago. And now you understand every landlord you've ever hated. Trevor visits. He's very proud of you. Gail bought her first duplex once too. In her version of this level, the rate had 2 digits and the carpet had a color she still refuses to name. 18 months in, the picture is real. The loans paid down a little, the place is worth a little more. Your savings crawled back. Nobody clapped. This is what winning looks like at level 1, and it looks suspiciously like a part-time job. Rule 2. A duplex isn't an investment with a house attached. It's a job with a bedroom attached. The pay is fine. The boss is a water heater. Level 2 is yours to live. You're 29 now. You spend Saturdays driving neighborhoods you'd never picnic in, looking at porches the way other people look at menus. You refinance the duplex and pull out a slice of the equity. It feels less like winning and more like borrowing from a version of you who hasn't happened yet. The first building you chase dies on inspection day. Foundation crack, 6-figure fix, walk away. You eat the $500 inspection fee and 3 weeks of hope. The fee is not refundable. Neither are the weeks. You buy a triplex from a landlord who's aging out. He undercharged rent for a decade because raising it felt rude. You will spend 2 years learning why he looked so relaxed. Your napkin has upgraded to cocktail. The math on it has not. This level has never once appeared on a vision board. It's drywall dust, lease renewals, and a tenant named Dale who pays early, in cash, and lists his employer as various. You do not ask Dale follow-up questions. Some cash flow is best left unexamined. 3 units cash flow now. Grocery money, not quit your job money, but it shows up whether you do or not, and that sentence is the entire religion. And for the record, this is the level, the one from the opening. Right here is where most people get off the ladder. The Census Bureau surveys rental owners. Most individual landlords never make it past their first property or two. They don't stop after a disaster either. They stop after the 400th email about a garbage disposal. Quitting doesn't look like quitting. It looks like selling the triplex and calling it a win at a barbecue. But one night you catch yourself checking the app again. Except now it's your own property you're stalking. The ex's Instagram became your Instagram. Growth, probably. Meanwhile, Trevor has refinanced everything that isn't nailed down, including several things that were. 14 doors, negative $400 a month. Gail, same week, deposits 3 rent checks and goes to bed at 9. So let's recap where you are. The spreadsheet became a duplex. The duplex became 3 units. The 3 units pay for groceries and a gym membership you don't use. That's the whole story so far, except for the one question that makes the entire meetup go quiet. Why does the bank change the rules at unit number 5? Because past that line, the bank stops betting on you at all. Rule 3. 4 units and under, the bank is betting on you. Your job, your credit, your promising little life. 5 and up, it bets on the building. The entire game from here is becoming irrelevant to your own loans. 9 units in, something strange happens. The buildings stop being the point. They mostly run on a schedule now. What you're actually collecting at level 3 is paperwork. Beautiful, tax-deductible paperwork. Somewhere back there, you also stopped mentioning any of this at parties. People hear the word landlord and either want in on your next one or want to explain why you're about to lose everything. Both conversations cost more than the water heater. And fair warning, the moment your tax return gets interesting, it starts to smell delicious to a very specific kind of person. One of them is booking a ballroom right now. We'll meet him in a minute. First, the paperwork. Your accountant slides a phrase across the desk like contraband. Cost segregation. An engineer walks your property and splits it into parts. Carpets, cabinets, parking lot. And the tax code lets you depreciate the parts fast instead of the whole thing over decades. The engineer will measure your carpet like it's evidence. Let him. Every square foot is money now. And since Washington made 100% bonus depreciation permanent last year, the fast parts can all land in year 1. On paper, your profitable little empire produces a loss. A polite, legal, enormous loss. The rent is real, the income is real, the taxable income is shy. One catch before tax Twitter arrives. That paper loss shelters the rental income, not your paycheck. Yet. This is legal. We want to be clear that it is legal. Congress reads this channel's disclaimers too. And there he is, the ballroom guy. Grant Cardozo. He doesn't sell houses anymore. He sells access to people who sell houses. Your tax return is exactly what he ordered. Mastermind tier. $14,997. It includes a lanyard, a workbook, and a photo with Grant where his hand is on your shoulder and his eyes are on the exit. You do not buy the Mastermind. Growth confirmed. Gail was in the same hotel that weekend for a quilting expo. She took 1 Danish and left, and that Danish remains the best deal ever closed in that building. Rule 4. At level 3, the Internal Revenue Service, the IRS, becomes your biggest business partner. Generous terms, credit where due. Just remember it's the only partner that wrote the partnership agreement itself, and it renegotiates whenever it's having a bad year. Level 4 opens with a funeral. You sell the first duplex, a pure rental for years now, but it still has your old bedroom in it. And if you just sell it, the tax bill on the gains, plus all that depreciation you took, comes due at once. So you don't just sell it. You run a 1031 exchange. The money goes from your duplex to a middleman you're legally forbidden to touch. You get 45 days to identify the next building and 180 to close. Miss either clock and the IRS arrives with the old bill and a new interest in you. Day 43 feels exactly like it sounds. But it closes. 32 units. You sit in the parking lot afterward and call no one. The only person who'd understand is the couch version of you, and he wouldn't believe it. 8 years of water heaters and paperwork, and it all just became one signature. You let that be true for a whole minute. Commercial loan, by the way. The bank studied the building's rent roll for a month and your personal life for about 9 minutes. The building qualifies now. You're just the person it keeps around. That's the whole trick of commercial lending, by the way. The building's rent has to cover the building's debt with room to spare. Your salary stopped being interesting to anyone, which was the exact goal the couch version of you wrote down. Trevor attempts the same move with less building and more confidence. Gail does not do a 1031. Gail has never sold anything, including, her kids suspect, the 1994 minivan. Rule 5. A 1031 is a lifetime subscription to owning buildings. The tax doesn't disappear, it rides along in the trunk. You can cancel anytime you like for roughly a quarter of the gains you've been rolling. Most people keep the subscription. Then the subscription starts keeping their calendar. Every guru sells this level. Few survive it politely. Syndication. You find the building, you run the deal, other people bring the money. You're the general partner, they're limited partners. And the Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC, has opinions about all of it. Short version. You can raise quietly from people who already know you, or you can advertise publicly, but then it's accredited investors only. That's the $200,000 a year crowd, or $1 million in net worth, primary residence not included. Mix those rules up, and you'll learn what the F in SEC doesn't stand for. The deal math gets sketched on a linen napkin at the dentist's country club now. The napkins have gotten much nicer since level 0. The math on them still rounds up. Here's what the deal deck never puts on a slide. If it works, everyone eats and you eat twice. If it fails, the dentists lose money and you lose the thing that raised the money. Your name is in the loan documents now, literally load-bearing. Then a golf cart pulls up. Benny Mallow, 700 doors, Empire tours from the driver's seat, and the closest thing this video has to a ghost of Christmas future. You ask him about passive income. He laughs so hard the cart stalls.
You want the truth about passive income, kid? I haven't had a passive day since 1991.
Benny is the most honest man in this video. This should worry everyone. Rule 6. When you invest your own money, you can lose your money. When you invest other people's, you can lose your name. Only one of those is insured, and it's not the one the dentists care about. Last level, and it's yours again. You're 51. The years in between weren't a montage. They were 2 more buildings, 1 bad partner bought out, 1 market you left a year early and then watched keep climbing, and roughly 9,000 emails. Wealth at this level isn't built. It accumulates, quietly, while you handle Tuesdays. A few hundred units now, most of them boring on purpose. Your Saturdays came back around year 17. You had to buy those too, same as everything else. At the meetup, because you still go, Trevor's there. He made it, eventually, minus 4 buildings and 1 marriage. And for the first time in recorded history, he isn't asking anyone their door count. He's asking Gail how she paid hers off. Then a 27-year-old walks up with a phone and a listing and asks if it's a good deal. You don't give them a speech. You give them your first deal's real numbers. The $1,200 a month, the dead water heater, both 2 a.m. calls. All of it. Because they tell you there are 6 levels. There's a 7th nobody advertises, and it doesn't have a thumbnail. It's called the estate. Your kids inherit the buildings at today's value. The depreciation sins are forgiven. The IRS waits politely for the funeral. The cleanest tax move in the entire code has a dress code, and it's a casket. And somewhere across town, right now, someone's on a couch with 11 grand and a spreadsheet, Googling a listing after midnight like a symptom. The number on their screen is $440,600. It didn't get cheaper while you watch this. Somebody's going to own it either way. That's the whole game. Climb or don't. Either way, do the napkin math sober.